Hey guys, Lizardlea here for 4 Heavenly Beasts, the Heaven and Earth Design Day 24. Hopefully I will get way more footage than last time. I was hoping. I'm going to try my best. The handsome man is awake.
Hi.
It is 6:35 in the morning. I think it's a pod person, so if this doesn't get posted, you guys will never know that my pod person boyfriend murdered me.
Love you.
Love you more.
Uh-huh.
I love the real David.
Yeah.
It's 6:30 in the morning. Like,
And I'm not up from last night.
and you're what?
And I'm not just up from last night.
I don't.
When I stay up all night and don't sleep.
Yeah, he went to bed before me.
Yeah. Staying up so late. Gosh.
He's a pod person. I'm gonna die.
Love you.
I mean, he can't, the pod person can't murder me while I'm cross-stitching, right? Because there will be video evidence.
You haven't even seen those movies, have you?
What movies?
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
No.
And yet she knows the twist.
Well,
cross-stitching defeats them.
yeah. Oh my god. Okay.
Nailed it, babe.
I'm gonna go cross-stitch now. And we're recording. So you said at the end of the last video to not watch Arrival. You should discuss Arrival now.
Okay, I should discuss Arrival. So Arrival is done by one of my favorite directors, Denis Villeneuve, I think is how you pronounce his name. But he's done a lot of really good stuff. This was not one of them. It's... You've seen it, right?
Yes, it's Amy Adams and Hawkeye.
Yeah, that was Hawkeye, wasn't it? So the concept is what? The concept is that aliens show up one day. They're in these giant ships randomly positioned around the Earth. There's 12 of them. Or not exactly randomly, but no clear pattern. And of course human society kind of freaks out. And Amy Adams is the
She's like, what, a linguist or something?
she is a linguist, yes, and she is a very cliche linguist in my opinion. But yeah, she's the linguist, and so of course the military wants to come get her and have her help interact with these aliens so we can figure out what the heck they're saying and figure out if they're a threat or not, or if there's like, we're going to change humanity's future here, or if like we need to start nuking them immediately. And that's pretty much the setup. I mean, I don't think there's anything else.
Yeah.
Did we determine if you've seen it?
Yes.
Are we sure?
Oh my god, yes. They talk in circles.
Mm-hmm.
Literal circles.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I didn't like it. I mean, okay, like, I was enjoying it at some point. I don't remember. Like, I thought it was, the aliens were interesting. But we spent all of our time with the linguist and her. And I didn't care about her. I cared about the aliens. And I liked that, yes, they spoke with circles. And it took her a while, but eventually she broke it down and she was able to understand what they were saying. And it was interesting. I mean, are we going into spoilers?
yeah.
So their language allows you to see into the future. Once you're able to once you're able to read their language or whatever and decipher it. God, I can't say decipher.
You just said decipher.
Yeah, I said it like 3 times. Maybe 4, I don't know.
I couldn't decipher it.
Yes, decipher. I got there on my own, alright? You're able to see into the future. So she is eventually able to see that she is going to have a daughter, was it? With Hawkeye?
Yeah.
Or a kid at least.
Who they've been flashing forward to the entire movie.
Yeah, so you think it's in the past, but it's actually in the future. So she's seeing her kid getting older and then getting cancer and dying. Was it ever made clear?
No, I think it's her dad who gets something and dies, or she gets something and dies. I don't know, someone gets
I
something
am
and dies.
95% sure it was supposed to be the kid.
I'm pretty sure it's not the kid, I think it's the mom. But I don't know, it didn't matter. That shows you how much I cared by that point.
I don't know. I watched this when it came out, and I watched a few other movies at the same time. I thought what happened was Jeremy Renner, that's who plays Hawkeye, he eventually finds out that, like, she knew their daughter was going to die in the future, and he's like, what the heck? Why did you still let us get married and have a kid if you knew our kid was just going to die?
Maybe that's what it was. But they also...
I don't know.
Whatever.
You saw it recently, and you already...
Because it was that bad. Okay, so my big problem with this movie is it's cliche in every single way. There are some really cool shots, but from the moment this movie starts, like, every single character acts to their cliche. So, like, she's the strong but lonely, linguist who's brilliant, but too brilliant to focus on things outside of her job. Like, she doesn't notice that the alien invasion's even going on, even though everyone else has clearly, like, dropped everything that they're doing, and her entire class didn't show up until, one of her students says, you should turn on the TV. Which, of course, the student says, you should turn on the TV, because that's more dramatic than being like, yo, there's aliens! Which would have been a real reaction. Like, just everything feels cliche in a way to set the most dramatic scene possible. The military... Like, I get what they were going for with, like... Actually, I think this is what bugs me the most, is that it's something that didn't need to do this to get where it wanted to go. Like, the military is so, like, bog standard, stupid, and evil. No one else involved ever has a good idea except for her. And if they have a good idea, or if they have an idea at all, it's not only not just not good, it's often, like, wow, you are, like, rotten to the core evil, or you are just completely dumber than a bag of hammers. Like, it's so pointless. Like, I knew from the beginning of the movie that she would wind up being, the hero, of course. That's obvious. She's the protagonist.
Yeah.
But you know she's going to wind up with Hawkeye. You know that no one else is going to matter. Every other character who shows up serves no purpose other than to make her look smarter, by virtue of them being much, much dumber. There are several ideas that she had that should have come to a normal, living, breathing human being. Like, already had to me, the audience, like, well, why don't we do this? And then, 5 scenes later, oh, why don't we do this? Oh, now we're going to do it. Further, every single thing that she does telegraphs everything she's told telegraphs what she's going to do next. She gets told, hey, make sure you stick to the procedure. Lo and behold, she was only told that so she could break procedure. Like, every single time. It's just... It's an okay idea, but the execution just feels like they had one cool idea, and they're like, cool, get me the copy-paste from, like, every action movie with aliens ever, and throw that in here, but we're not going to do the action part. I just want the logic. It just,
So I would like to point out your recall of things you dislike is absolutely terrible, and mine is way, way, way better. Movie opens. Linguist Louis Banks' daughter Hannah dies at the age of 12 from an incurable illness. The movie ends... During the evacuation of the camp, Donnelly expresses his love for Banks. They talk about life choices and whether he would change them if he could see the future. Banks knows that she will agree to have a child with him despite knowing their fate. That Hannah will die and Donnelly will leave them after she reveals that she knew this.
Yeah, but...
I recalled that movie better than you did, and I saw it however long ago.
Because it was that boring. Like, it's legit.
But, like, you're not even remembering it right. That's like no.
They literally make one allusion to her daughter dying at the beginning then. No, I'm serious. Every other time you see it...
and every other time you see it, it seems like they're upset because she's sick.
They don't mention the sickness again, no.
Yeah, but they act like it.
No, they don't.
Okay, well, I obviously picked up on something you did not.
Okay.
I don't know. What I remember liking, like, I want to say my favorite scene was when they're first... I'm assuming it was the first time, it's been a while. When they're first going into the cave or whatever, into the spaceship to talk to the aliens, they do the bird cage thing, where they bring a bird in a cage.
Canary.
A canary, that's what it was. Because miners used to do that to make sure it was safe.
Yeah.
And I was like, it makes me sad. I don't like that that's done. But it makes sense. Like, you want to know, is this safe?
Well, yeah. I mean, granted, it's a little weird to use a canary because the same reason miners don't use canaries anymore is the idea that, well, they have technology to, like, detect the air levels and whatnot.
Okay, well, that's on Earth. This isn't a spaceship?
Well, again, I get what they were doing, but, like, it feels so blunt. Like, oh, we're going to put a canary in here to show that...
I mean,
like,
I thought it got the point across quite well. Because, I mean, if they had tried to bring, like, machines on there that could detect things like that, aliens might have been like, what the heck are you doing? Go away. No.
Well, they do bring machines. They bring tons of machines. They have all sorts of machines also monitoring the air and whatnot. The only point of the canary is literally for one scene where she once again shows she's smarter than everybody else and gets out of her suit. Because, the canary's fine, so I'll be fine. Which, like, okay, fine, but why didn't we just do that before she even showed up? Or, like, that's literally her whole character, is to always make the right decision, even though everyone else has said it's the wrong decision. Every single time.
I mean, I don't know. I think her choosing to have a child that's going to die and then
no,
her
that's
husband leave her is a terrible decision.
That's
so I don't think she always makes good decisions.
Everything else about the movie is that. Fine, nitpick me on it, but
I
no.
mean, she's not perfect, obviously. I don't know. Like I said, I was not impressed with that movie. So when you kept telling me someone recommended it to you, I was like, okay, I think they're wrong, but... Because, like, there are aspects that are incredibly interesting. And she wrote a book on the language, so anyone who read the book and learned the language could then see into the future. And I liked the idea of, suddenly grasping this language opens your mind up to the future. Like, I don't know if they handled it well, but I thought the idea was really interesting.
I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I can go along with it because I'm fine with movies just saying, hey, this doesn't have to make sense, deal with it.
Oh yeah, it's
like,
aliens.
Well, not just that, but like the idea that, I understand the language now, I can understand... Now, like, to be clear, she literally solves the problem by remembering things from the future. So that's how she solves their dilemma when they're about to go to nuclear war.
Yeah, she gets the was it the Chinese?
Yeah, she gets to the Chinese ambassador's personal phone.
She knows what his wife said to him or something.
Which she only knows because he told her in the future, and he only told her in the future because she said it in the past. Now, I don't care that they do paradox stuff like that. I know a lot of people flip out. They're like, that's not how time travel works. Like, no, I don't give a...
I mean, we don't have time travel,
exactly.
So we don't know how it works, actually.
Yeah, I don't care. But at the same time, like... It's just so ham-fisted. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense that this book now... Like, and to be clear, the aliens are there because humans help them in the future. So they have to come into the past to help the humans because otherwise... Well, maybe not even the past. To them, time doesn't work that way. But they have to come to humanity now to teach us what we need to know.
So
and
that
then
they will
disappear.
help in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, when we meet them way, way, way in the future. All of that's kind of interesting, but the rest of the movie's pointless. It's, let's have China's going to go to war with the rest of the world and nuke everybody and nuke all the aliens because nobody can communicate, because nobody understands, because that's the symbolism, is the communication thing. It's a movie about communication where people can't communicate and blah, 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 and if only we understood, and I don't know, like, whatever. I guess that's my take. I would never watch it again. It's a waste of time.
That's why I didn't watch it with you when you said you were watching it.
You seem to like it more than me by a lot, though.
I did, because I believe what I said. I think it had parts that were interesting. It had parts that I was like, ooh, if they go with this is going to be awesome. And then they didn't really go with it. But my recall is just better than yours sometimes, honey.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
How many times have I proven you wrong with these movies? More than you've proven me wrong. That's how many. Alright, what's the next movie?
Well, if we want to stay on that director, he's done a couple of other things that we've both seen.
What else has he done?
You saw... Let's see. Well, did you watch the first Sicario?
Yes, we watched it together.
I couldn't remember if you actually... I couldn't remember if you stopped halfway through.
No.
Okay.
I did when we were rewatching it like a week later with your dad, because I was like, I just watched this movie and I liked it, but it's not Clue.
Yeah, I get it. So yeah, no, it's a,
drug cartel movie?
Kinda. I mean, yes, but at the same time it's kind of different. The rough point is you start out with is it supposed to even be for drugs? I don't know. They're worried about somebody. I think it's like a hostage situation. And so the FBI is going to raid this house. And so they knock down the door and everything. And lo and behold, it all goes sideways. The guys actually fire back. All right, maybe it is a drug raid. I don't know. Doesn't matter. So the guys fire back, and the FBI kills them. But or she's FBI or cop. I can't remember what she is.
An idealistic FBI agent is enlisted by a government task force to aid in the escalating war against drugs at the border area between the U.S. and Mexico.
Yeah, fine. So, short version, they find a ton of bodies in the walls because they're confused at first as to why these guys fired back. There was no point from their point of view because they're like, well, the thing we were here for isn't here. Again, I want to say it's a hostage thing or something, so why didn't they just give up? And then they search the building and they realize that, like, between every stud on the wall is a corpse in a bag.
Did they find the bodies and then the shed blew up?
And then the shed blew up, yes.
And then the shed blew up, okay. I couldn't remember.
So, yes, while they're doing stuff, one of the other FBI agents is investigating something out back, and it's a bomb and it explodes. So the whole point is that this is, like, obviously pretty bad, and it happened in U.S. soil. So it's actually New Mexico, Arizona, somewhere in there. So it's in the United States. So this task force the girl gets thrown on this task force with, Slater, right? Is the actor?
Was it Christian Slater?
I'm pretty sure it's Christian Slater. I could be wrong. No, yeah.
I don't remember.
Who's Mr. Robot?
Mr. Robot is wonderful.
Yes, but who played...
I'm looking.
Oh, okay. I thought you had better recall for these things.
For specific actors? Not generally. Like, I remembered Emily Blunt. I'm not seeing him.
Who is it?
Victor Garber, Benicio del Toro, Josh Brolin,
Josh
John
Brolin, that's who it was.
Bernthal.
I got him confused. Yeah, it's Josh Brolin. That's right. So, Josh Brolin is the FBI agent. Well, sorry, not the FBI agent, the task force agent. And basically they say, hey, do you want to do something about this? And while this sounds like it might be one of those patriotic kind of like, we're going to go kill everything movies and blah, 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 it's really not. The main point of the movie is kind of the escalation of it all and revenge and a bunch of other stuff. I don't know, did I forget anything?
I don't think. I mean, you went over the basics. I mean, to me, my favorite scene was the opening one where they find all those bodies in the walls because I was just like, oh, okay. I don't remember if that was something I had called or not, but I remember being like, wow. No, I said there would be dead bodies, but I didn't think it would be literally just every other freaking stud had a body
20
in
corpses
it.
or something crazy.
Yeah, it was way more than I had been expecting.
So either way, getting into spoilers, the point is that as you go through the movie, you start seeing them do more and more sketchy stuff. Like, the very first thing they do is they go into Mexico to take a guy who's in Mexican prison. He's like the cousin or brother or something of one of the drug cartel heads, and bring him back across the border. And you can very quickly tell that they're, like, basically not playing by the rule book. There's a whole bunch of stuff that they're doing that is like, whoa, what the hell? And the best thing about the movie is how it builds tension. It is incredibly good at it. There are certain scenes that are just really, 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 really tense, and then they just sort of happen. And it's very sudden, and then it's just over. Like, it doesn't drag things out, it just sort of happens quickly and violently, which is sort of realistic. The big example being when they're coming back over the border, they run into traffic at the border crossing, which was supposed to be cleared for them, but something happened. And so they're sitting there in traffic really, really nervous because they know that if anything's going to happen, it's going to happen now for a variety of reasons.
That was a really tense scene. They did a great job on that one.
Yeah, and so finally, lo and behold, they look at a car, and there's, like, obviously drug, cartel members, and they're covered in tattoos and whatnot with guns. And so it gets really escalated, and what finally happens is they're standing, like, the U.S. forces immediately get out of their car, go over and point guns at that car, like, just in line at border control, and, like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, and it's pretty heavily implied that on the one hand, that if these guys don't do it, people they know will die, or care about, and even though they're clearly, like, way, way into the life. And so, lo and behold, they try to do something, and they shoot and kill all of them.
Yep.
And even further, I think one of the female, Emily Blunt, she almost gets shot by, like, a Mexican cop or something, and so she shoots him. So yeah, it's really, really, really tense and really, really, really well shot and very well put together and well done. And then the other main plot through it all is Benicio del Toro's. He's very clearly not a U.S. agent of any kind, whereas Josh Brolin is some sort of somebody. I believe he turns out to be CIA. But Benicio del Toro is sort of this gray area, and like, why is this guy along? And the short answer becomes because he was a Mexican prosecutor whose entire family was murdered. So he's seeking revenge and working basically as an assassin for the U.S. government to go, because their whole goal is to find a way across the border secretly so that he can sneak in and then assassinate this drug cartel member. I forget if he's the actual leader, if he's just like a brother or something, or the money guy, but something like that. And there's a whole lot of like really tense and really disturbing scenes along the way. I don't know, what was anything?
I mean, so I had to pull it up because my recall on movies I dislike is better than yours, but your recall on movies you like is better than mine. So, the dad near the beginning that is in Mexico with his kid, and the kid is like, oh, Dad, I've got soccer practice and whatever, and he's a cop. He's the one who is corrupt and giving drugs to the cartel and whatnot. And they see him in the cave. And they end up letting him go, don't they? Like, she wants to get him, and then they're just like, no, you have to let him be.
In the cave?
Well, it looked like a cave. It was like a cave system. They went underground.
Where he shot her?
Is that where he shot her?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so eventually the cop gets away, the corrupt cop. But doesn't he get shot outside of... See?
Wait.
You didn't let me finish reading!
Which corrupt cop?
The corrupt cop that we've seen the whole movie.
Oh, in Mexico. No,
yes,
he doesn't,
I said he was in Mexico.
So, okay. So the corrupt cop that she's talking about, we've seen his life with his child.
Yes.
He's in this cave system moving a bunch of drugs when Benicio del Toro comes in, shoots the guy next to him and says, get in the car. And so he has him drive along the road because he's in a cop car, and they pull over the car that Benicio del Toro wants because it's the money guy or whoever it is that they need to get, or it's someone who can get him into this compound who's important. So Benicio del Toro has the cop pull that guy over and then tells him to get out of the car and put his gun on the ground while the guy's saying, like, do you know who I am? I'm going to kill you, sort of stuff. So the guy puts his gun on the ground, steps out of the car. Then Benicio del Toro has the cop step out of the car, and he's, like, pleading not to. And then you see Del Toro step back. Well, you see the cop get out, and you don't see Del Toro, but he shoots the cop and the other guy. He kills them both.
Killed both of them.
Yeah.
And then he gets to the drug cartel leader's house.
Yeah.
Where they're eating dinner.
Yeah.
That was a creepy scene as well. Like, the cinematography or whatever in this movie was really good. When they wanted a scene to be tense and make you fearful, they pulled it off.
Steak will be ready when we're done.
Woohoo! Steak! I like steak.
But yeah, no, it's beautifully shot. Like, the scene of them, like, melting into the shadows, literally, as they begin their little escapade, their final little escapade through the tunnel system is really, really well done. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the final scene is super, super uncomfortable and disturbing because Benicio del Toro, has a gun and is sitting there in front of this drug cartel leader's family. So he's there with his kids and his wife, and they're all eating when Benicio del Toro comes up with his gun.
Well, and I don't remember, was it just one of the kids that didn't, like, quite understand what was going on? Like, he kept eating, but, like, the mom immediately stopped eating, didn't she?
No, they all do. He has to
they all stopped?
Yeah, they all know what's going on.
Oh, see, I swear I thought one of them was young enough that they weren't quite...
No,
yeah,
they're all
I
terrified.
might be thinking of a different scene then.
And then they tell him... They have the conversation in English so his family doesn't understand.
Oh, maybe
and
that's
after
what it was.
he yells at them to continue eating because Benicio del Toro wants them to continue eating because he's getting his revenge because he lost his family.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's a masterful work of like tension. There's a whole lot of just really good pacing. You haven't seen the sequel, right?
I have not.
Okay, so the sequel is good. It's not the same, but it's fun. In the sense that it's a little bit more of the same, but not as well put together. The tension is there, the kind of ridiculous military scenes of like, oh my god, that's terrifying, is there. It's definitely not as deep of a movie, so to speak. Like, it doesn't have the ending, which is kind of dark. It doesn't have the, message, which is very dark. It's much more of a almost standard action movie, but it's still good.
I liked it.
And then, I don't know if it's by the same director, though. I think somebody else did it.
The sequel?
Yeah. And then the other movie he did is Blade Runner 2049.
Haven't seen it.
Which you haven't seen.
I've seen the original Blade Runner.
We can talk about that. Did you like it?
I did. I watched it with my grandma because you said you liked it, and I really wanted to date you, and I wanted to have things to talk about with you to get you to like me more. I don't know how to explain Blade Runner. That's your job. You do the synopsis thing.
Synopsises. Blade Runner.
Brief summary.
For those of you who haven't seen it,
it's worth seeing.
It's a very good movie. It's based on Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. It's about a future where humanity can make these... Oh my god, what are they called?
Replicants?
Replicants, thank you. Which, for all intents and purposes, look and act human, but they're artificial life. In the sense that they don't really go into how they're made, We don't know if they're grown from a test tube or assembled in an assembly line, but they're definitely organic. And again, for all intents and purposes, look human. So, the problem is that they obviously don't really like that position of being artificial humans, because they're used for incredibly difficult and horrible labor, and often have artificially short lifespans. Or maybe short lifespans just because that's only what the technology is capable of. It's not super clear on that.
Mm-hmm.
So Harrison Ford, Deckard, is a Blade Runner or something. Yeah, Blade Runner is what they call it. And what that means is he hunts down replicants who have gone rogue and kills them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually kind of a tricky job when you think about it, even though it's kind of a horrible job, because anyone can be a replicant. It's very, very hard to tell.
Well, that's why he spends so much time talking to them and observing them in their eyes, right? Or was that just him training?
No, that was part of it.
Yeah.
So, you find out very early on, in fact, one of the first scenes of the movie, that you can't, that they can't pass this kind of test. And it's sort of like they monitor your retina, and they ask you questions that are like morality questions. The famous one in the first scene is like that, you see a tortoise, and the character first asks like, well, what's a tortoise? And he's like, it's a kind of turtle, don't worry about it, and it's on its back, and it can't, get up.
It can't, yeah.
And you don't help it. Why aren't you helping it? Questions like that, weird moral questions. And because while they're asking this, the replicant in this scene kind of freaks out and eventually kills the guy across the table from him by shooting him. Yeah, he's got a gun. So you can see that they're not perfectly human. In theory, you can tell. But the other subplot of this whole movie, which I'm going to get into something complicated in a moment, is that there's this replicant working for Tyrell. Tyrell's the guy who makes the replicants, whose name is... I can't remember her name.
Is that the actor's name is Tyrell?
Actress. No, the main guy is Tyrell.
Joe Turkel, Dr. Eldon Tyrell.
Yeah, but who's the female?
Rachel?
Rachel. Okay, thank you. Has this woman working for him named Rachel. And we see Harrison give her a replicant test and everything. And she thinks she's human, but she's not. But Deckard can barely tell, and he's still not even certain.
Mm-hmm.
So the other side note of this whole movie is getting into questions of, like, what is life? What is humanity? And so, to be clear, there's like 80 different frickin' versions of this movie. There's actually like 3 or 4. Watch the director's cut or something like the director's cut. If you start watching the movie and Harrison Ford sounds like he's at gunpoint narrating scenes, don't watch that version. That's the version that came out in theaters. It sucks. It cuts out a lot of the subtext of the movie. Harrison Ford gives a really bad narration to make it easier to understand, and it just ruins the whole movie. And there's a whole bunch of other little changes they made that just make it suck.
I don't remember which version I saw.
I'm 90% positive I badgered you about this and you watched the director's cut, or one of the versions without the narration.
See, and I don't think you were involved at all, because we had talked about it and you had said, like, oh yeah, you have to watch this version. And then I went home, and then, like, a couple of weeks later, I was hanging out with my grandma, and we were like, we should watch a movie.
Right.
And I was like, oh hey, here's Blade Runner, and it was my parents' DVD.
Yeah.
So it's whatever version my parents have.
And then I talked to you about it afterwards, and I asked you about it, and I recall you saying, no, it didn't have the narration.
Okay, so it wasn't because you badgered me that I got a specific version.
Yeah, no, I badgered you afterwards. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay, I thought you were saying you badgered me into the correct version. And that's why I was like...
Yes, I know.
But I mean, my parents only had one DVD.
So anyways,
yeah, but, like, even the ones without the narration have different endings.
They all do have different endings. Well, not all.
I don't remember what one I got.
Anyways, point is
Can we talk about it on Facebook? Continue. I'm gonna look it up.
The movie is basically screwing around with, again, the idea of what is life, because depending on which version you watch, it's pretty heavily implied that Deckard may not be human either. That all of his memories are implanted, and he's not really a person. Depending on which version you watch, you never find out. And because you're not supposed to find out. And then the most famous thing is the whole Roy Batty speech at the very end, because, going heavy into spoilers, he finds and he kills all these replicants in various ways, and it's definitely, they're going around killing people, trying to get to Tyrell, because they want to get to Tyrell so that they can get their life expanded, because they only live, I believe, for 5-6 years, maybe even 4, something really, really short. And eventually they get to Tyrell, and they kill him after he tells them, yeah, sorry, there's no way to make you live longer. What's the line? The candle that burns brightest burns shorter, or something like that. And so at the very end of the movie, Roy could kill Deckard. He basically beats him because they're fighting in this like weird abandoned building, and he's got Deckard over the edge of the building, and he chooses to save him, which he didn't have to do, but he chooses to, and then he gives a speech, you know, I've seen things you could never imagine, blah, 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 look it up if you're interested. But, and then he dies. And so from there, depending on what version you're watching, kind of depends on what happened, but roughly him and Rachel run off, Deckard and Rachel, and live happily ever after, however long that is. And then that gets us into the sequel, which I want Liz to watch, so we won't talk about it today, but maybe I will force that upon you.
Oh, I want to see it.
Yeah.
So, I am going to read, attempting to do verbatim, the messages I sent you on November 22nd, 2017 at 8:52 p.m. and after. Seeing as I got home late, we aren't leaving for Utah until tomorrow. I'm going to watch Blade Runner. Wish me luck, LOL. Kick Murder Squad? What? Or was it Kill and the subtitles were wrong? I'm so bad. WTF was that? That was not an ending. What? Good movie, though, smiley face. And you wrote, it's called an ambiguous ending, and it's awesome. And I wrote, fine. Now I need to see the sequel. So, even back then, 2 years ago, I wanted to see the sequel.
Yes, dear.
Heck, that was over 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. 2020. Not good. But, yeah, I don't remember, like, I remember hearing a ton about the unicorns, and I can't remember the unicorns. Like, did he have one dream about unicorns?
He had several.
Did he have several?
Mm-hmm.
See,
Well, they're, like, weird, too.
Well, yeah, I know they were just off. I remember at some point in one ending, he gets that little paper unicorn or whatever. So it makes you think like, he is a replicant because this guy knows what he's dreaming about because he hasn't told anyone about it. I don't think that was the ending I got, though.
I can't tell you.
Is it? Is that? Well, I mean, that's not ambiguous to me. If he gets a unicorn from someone, it's clear that he's a replicant.
But, well, no, because, again, they don't...
Because he doesn't discuss it with anyone.
Yeah.
If they know he's dreaming about unicorns, it's because he's a replicant.
Well, again...
I don't think I got that ending.
They do not make it that clear. Like, it's still left kind of ambiguous, and it's only one little scene, and the ending is still him running off with Rachel.
Yeah, but it's where you don't know if he's a replicant or not. If he had gotten that unicorn, I would have been convinced that he was a replicant. But I obviously responded in a way that made it an ambiguous ending. So I did not get the ending where he is gifted some kind of unicorn toy thing or whatever. I think it was an origami piece or something. I don't remember. I don't know. So yeah. Your typing is very loud, handsome man.
I'm okay with that. So, I am trying to figure out Blade Runner stuff, so sorry.
Mm-hmm.
You were doing it on your phone. Mine's just louder.
Mm-hmm. That wasn't your phone. That was your computer.
Yes, I know.
Mm.
So yeah, that's that.
We have like 30 seconds left.
Well, then we're probably not going to be able to fit another movie in.
Probably not. Do you have anything else you would like to say about Blade Runner?
You should watch it if you haven't. It's one of the best movies ever made.
I disagree with that statement, but it is good and it is worth seeing. Okay, I lied about the 30 seconds. It looks like we have like a minute. I don't know, it's hard to tell when it's broken down like this.
You'll have to talk about 12 Monkeys next time?
Ah, yes. We need to talk about 12 Monkeys because I have seen that movie now. So now we can talk about it. And gosh, this is going to be so much worse now. Everything is going to be out of order. This might actually line up with when you interrupt me saying that I've seen 12 Monkeys.
What?
Exactly.
I never did that.
Yeah, you did!
That doesn't sound like
This hasn't happened yet. And that is the end of day 24 for 4 Heavenly Beasts, the Heaven and Earth design. I got 5 hours and 10 minutes of footage, so much better than the last one. Yay. Quite a bit of progress. I got several more colors done. The snake is almost done. Are you gonna...
I was awake the entire time.
I'm sorry, who's the liar?
I'm not lying.
Who's the liar?
No, I got up at 6 and then...
And then went back to bed less than an hour later.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, because you were asleep. Oops. Okay, you're literally just off camera. This is unacceptable, handsome man. That's what I was doing before the video started, like...
Oh, it's a mirror. Duh.
Wait, did you not know that's what I was doing?
I know you were messing with your hair, but its left-right is not the same as our real left-right.
Yes, but...
But?
It's such a... Do you have anything you'd like to say?
I'm
Face to
here
face
and
with
I was
camera.
awake the entire time.
Liar says, what? What? I love you too.
Love you more.
Love you the most. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all that jazz, and I'll see you guys in the next video.